Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Decryption and I hope you are well. I recently took part in the Ludum Dare 58th Game Jam, where we had 72 hours to make a game based on the theme Collector. So I made a game called the Demon Army Soul Collector, where you play as Mancy, the necromancer, and Grunt, the Frankenstein warrior, trying to serve your glorious leader Nima, who requests an army to take over the world, but she has no souls to do so. So she sends Mancy and Grunt into the world to harvest souls to fund her army to take over everything. So you go through the jail, find people, decide to spare them or harvest their souls. There's some interesting traps, interactions, and it's just generally a bit of fun. So in this post-implementation review, we're going to look over what went right in the game, what went wrong, what I would change, did I improve anything from the last game jam, what I learned, viewer feedback, the ratings I received, and my next plans. So let's get started. This game is a mixture of things that I've done before and then things that I have never actually done before at all, which is the best part of game jams. So you play in a top-down style, and I'm just going to temporarily disable the background music. You play in a top-down style where you control the two characters by switching between the 1 and 2 keys. So you can move around by clicking on the floor, you can switch from Mancy to Grunt, and you can move him around as well. Grunt will move a lot slower than Mancy because his purpose is defense and attack. Mancy is really weak, he can't fight, but he can harvest souls. So you can see this soul here. We can tell it to go and harvest the soul and he will take it. And you can see it's been changed over. And the point is that this is heavy, this is light, so you can play the gameplay in different styles. And sometimes it can affect the gameplay. So for example, Mancy can open a door softly. The door opens. It can close the door softly. And he'll close the door. Whereas Grunt, if he does it, he will full on smash the door and it will break so you can't use it anymore. And it's little things like this. So if you wanted to come and harvest this soul, you would use Mancy. But Mancy can't harvest souls from the living because they're currently using the soul to control the body. So you need to use Grunt to kill the body and then use Mancy to take the soul, like this dead creature here. So it added an interesting twist to the game. It also had 4 endings inside of it, which was nice, and it entirely just depended on how many souls you got. So if you just returned with no souls by not doing anything, then you got shouted at by Nima. If you collected 2 souls, which was what you could find just by walking around without killing anyone, then you just return with 2 souls. The 3rd ending was if you found out you could go to all these tubes here. All of those tubes have souls in them. Because it's green goop, which I didn't know really how to show people, but if you interact with it, you'll take the souls and you'll see... Oh, the UI's gone. I must have broke something, but the UI would show that you've stole like 25 souls, and if you did all of the green tubes, you got like 100, so you could take that back. But there was one secret ending that unfortunately glitched and people's not found, that if you took all the souls and then found this portal to the damned, you could harvest the souls of this portal, and then that would give you over, I think it was like 100,000 souls, which was like a secret ending that everybody was happy kind of thing. Well, not the world, they were conquered by Nima. The reason this glitched is in Unreal 5.6, the nav meshes are being really stupid, that they'll look fine in the editor, and if you build them, they'll be completely fine, but they're not. When the game runs, or when you build it, it's like completely tanked it or something. So you have to keep deleting the NavMesh recast thing and then recreate it from scratch, and that's the only way I found to fix it, which is really annoying that you have to keep doing that. But let's get started with the first one. What went right? When the theme came out, it was definitely a different one, and I didn't want to just do the same thing like a parcel delivery system or, you know, something like that. It felt a bit too basic and I didn't really want to go down that avenue, so I started thinking of more abstract ideas, and I had this Polygon Dark Fortress pack with Cinti, who sent it over as a sponsored video, and I really wanted to use it and use the necromancers, and that started got me thinking, well, what if we collect souls instead? And then it really went from there. We found the Dark Glorious leader, Nima, praise Nima. Once I had the pack and the idea, it really just came together really quickly, which was very nice. A lot of new tech was used in this version as well, mainly surrounding the gameplay ability system, AI-based controls, and top-down gameplay. So with the gameplay ability system, each character, including the enemies and everything, they have a list of abilities they're allowed to use. I added it as in default abilities and named abilities so I could easily distinguish between the abilities and what to execute. So for example, there is this targeted action, which is what's mainly on the players, that when you right click on something, it will execute the targeted action. So on character 1, which is Mancy, it runs the Soul Steal ability there. But on Grunt, when you execute his named ability of target action, it plays the attack ability, which is really nice. So then at any moment I can just say, hey, you go and use your interaction ability. And say if somebody's got a lockpick or something, they can execute that one. It means I don't have to build in a single interact ability where it's got every option under the sun built into it. And I've also built in all the attributes and everything like that correctly. And it was just so nice to finally have a gas-driven setup rather than a mix and match of how it worked. The other thing was AI-based controls. So this was an entirely new concept to me because it's not something I've ever done before. But with standard games, you have your pawn. And you click around, you control your pawn, you tell them to move to it, right? However, in my game, I needed the ability to tell one guy to go over there, switch to the other guy, and continue. But you can't do that, because when you possess another character, it removes the controller from the first one. So if he's got my player controller and I've possessed him, if I give him a command and switch, it will stop him in his tracks because he's talking. Because he's lost his controller. So I needed to think of a different way where I can change between all these characters. If you think of games like Divinity, Final Fantasy, Desperados, where you can switch characters whilst they're doing something, it's a brand new concept because I'm always player controller, player pawn. That's it. They control each other. If you depossess them, that's it. They don't need to do anything anymore. So what I ended up having to figure out and work on is these are never actually possessed by the player, ever. My player is literally just a camera. That's it. So if my top-down camera is just a camera here, look, somewhere there. It's a large camera. That's all my player is. But what it does is spawn these to him with AI controllers and grabs my player pawn and places the center of it on this character and follows them. So as they move around, my pawn is just spawning exactly where they are and moving along with them. And if I switch characters, I'm not possessing anybody else. All I'm doing is changing a variable I store of which character I'm currently following and switch it to the other character. So that gives me the ability to basically issue a command-based system to these guys, and they'll do everything I want without ever missing a beat because they're their own thing, which is a really interesting way of designing games. And it's not something I'm going to be doing on everything, but if I do end up working on more games with multiple characters, it very well might be a way to consider. So what went wrong in the development of this? Because things always go wrong, especially in 72 hours. You don't have a lot of time to make games at all. So a few things did go wrong, which stumped me for a little bit. I ended up fixing most of them. The biggest one was I did spend a good 4, 5, 6 hours the first night working on this command AI-based structure. Because like I say, any tutorial you watch, you possess the character you're playing as. It doesn't matter if it's top-down, 2D, 3D, you'll possess that character. So this different way of thinking completely broke the game, because I kept having it as he walked away and I switched character, he'd just stop where he was. So if I told him to go and steal a soul and switch characters, he'd stop. And the original plan for the game was you were going to be walking through this dungeon and goblins would be coming to attack you. So you'd have to switch to Grunt to start attacking these goblins to defend Mancy, but then Mancy might have to run away. But then Grunt can't attack because you've depossessed it. And it got really complicated. At one point, I did try, when I switched controllers, to remember the command I issued and reapply it on the AI controller. But it was really clunky, and if it wasn't perfectly done, it was often missed and it'd just glitch out. So that's when I built in this whole, well, what if everybody's just an AI and I just tell the AIs what to do? Some AIs will have their own brain, some AIs will just stand there. And honestly, it's the best way for something like this. Because if I ever did get to it where these would move around themselves, say if I was selected as Mancy currently, Grunt would have his own brain and go, oh, I need to attack these goblins, and he'd run off. Then it's perfect because I don't need to interfere with that. All I do is say, do you have a command issued by the player? Do that, else go and do your own thing. Pretty much. The next thing is, one of the biggest complaints I had about the game was sometimes the camera system was a bit clunky. So you can see clicking around is completely fine at the moment. But when I get down to the stairs and stuff here, because the corridors are a bit clunky look, I can't actually click. So it gets a bit funky with the angles. And like, you can't always see, but there is actually a door here. And there's a door here as well, kind of thing. So sometimes clicking around, you've got to make sure you don't click through the map look, otherwise it'll just glitch out and then eventually you can't see, like these stairs. When I built it, I kind of knew you just click down there. Oh, he can steal the souls on this one. Look, there we go. Because that just looks really cool. But yeah, so definitely one of the things I'm going to have to work on in future is researching games that have this camera style and figuring out how they do the nuances of it. Like with the stairs here, do I just make these invisible? But then it looks a bit empty. Do I apply a shader with a circle? The Unreal template did that, and it looks really clunky. So it's like here, look. It's not working, but if you spam click, it eventually does catch up. But it's just little bits like that. So it's going to be researching games that also play in this style, and there's loads of them. Obviously, in a 72-hour thing, I'm probably not going to have time to do that. But it's definitely one for the future. One of the biggest issues I did have that went wrong was Windows. As most of you know, I run Linux natively for everything I do. But when I'm deploying to Windows, I need a Windows PC. So I literally have a Windows install with just Unreal on it and like not much else at all. Maybe my mocap software, I think that's it. But for some reason, the latest version of Windows updates have decided to not make my internet work. So when you're trying to download the files for the game, when you're trying to update Visual Studio, because you have to do that, when you're trying to zip it up and submit the game online, and Windows is saying you don't have any internet, that is really, really annoying. And I must have lost a good 2-3 hours trying to solve Windows not having internet. I switched to Linux, I get internet immediately. Switch to Windows, internet's gone. But it wasn't gone instantly. It was like it had to wait 5-10 minutes before it decided it didn't want internet. It was so annoying. I can't even remember how I fixed it. I think I just ended up formatting the entire Windows operating system, putting it back in, reinstalling Visual Studio and Unreal, and going from there. But it's stress you really don't need. The last thing that went wrong was I just ran out of time. Like I said, the plan was that these two were going to be running, and to add a challenge, little goblins were going to be running around in like bandit packs kind of thing, and they'd be trying to attack Mancy. So you'd have to be as Grunt to go up and smash them to take them out, because Grunt has got something like 50 health, whereas Mancy's only got like 5 or 10 or something, so he's really weak. But that's why they're so differently sized. So what did I improve on this time around compared to the other games I've worked on? So I always enjoy this section because it's almost like a small ego boost to see, hey, I did better than this on the last one. But that's the point of these challenges, is you are learning slowly. So the thing I absolutely love about this one compared to all the other game jams I've done is the gas integration. Like if you remember on previous games, I always wanted the gas system to be installed from my Unreals, but I didn't know enough about it. So I just used Booleans and other logic like that. King's Summoning Man was one of the biggest ones I really wanted to use the ability system for, because I had cards that granted abilities. The more cards you have, the more abilities you have. It's literally gas incarnate. That's where it is. But I didn't know how to do it. And in 72 hours, you don't have time to figure it out sometimes. I started branching out with it in my Ironfront game that unfortunately nobody got to play because I ran out of time, but that was still a mix and match because that game was using ALS, which was all C++ coded. So without going into C++ and massively ripping out loads of it, I didn't have full time to do it. So like the movement and the shooting was all built in, really. But the jumping and crouching, that was added in via gameplay abilities. So that was a little bit easier to start work on. Mistletoe Mix-Up, which was a random jam I did with a friend, had no need for gameplay abilities, so we didn't do it on that one. But then this game came along, and it was perfect. Attributes to control everybody's health. Even these tanks have an ability system component to control it. Enemies, the bad guys, they all have ability system components, all built in with attributes and gameplay abilities. Awesome when it's all working together, and it just feels really clean. It's definitely something I'm taking away and going to be using in more games that need it. Of course, you don't need the ability system in every single game. Like, I really wouldn't probably put it in Mario Kart. You could. Is it going to be worth it? I don't know. The other things I improved on was, honestly, the other big thing was this command-based system. Like, if I was working on a RTS like Command & Conquer or StarCraft, this issue would have represented itself again. Because you don't ever possess a pawn, a tank. You can possess 5 or 6 at once. So it's that different type of thinking that I've never really had to do before. But this is going to be key in future games, where we don't possess a character. We possess a camera and just move around, really. So it's going to be really nice. So what new things did I learn that I've not already covered? I can pretty much do a basic offline single player gas implementation now without having to look over loads of tutorials. I can get it done in under 5 minutes to add all the C++ you need, which is just a couple of lines copied and pasted. The reason it was so complicated before from all the tutorials is everybody was shoving replication into it because that's what a lot of people want. I'm working on a single player game. Even local co-op doesn't need replication. So every tutorial was adding loads of replication in and making it even more and more and more. And it was like 100, 200 lines of code just to add gas in. So it was really overwhelming to look at it and go, it's a lot of work. But you know, when you get past all the replication and remove it, it's like 20 lines of code and most of it's copied and pasted. That's it. It's ridiculously easy to add when you remove the replication if you don't need it. Obviously, if you do need it, it's a bit more work. But overall, adding replication is a bit more work. So I'm happy that I can do that now, pretty much just by copying and pasting little bits here and there. Because for the macros and the functions you need, really. The other thing I've been working on is adding more of the code to C++. Like, I don't want to add everything into C++, because if I ever work with an artist, it's going to make their job really difficult because it's all in C++. But core gameplay logic, like the gas system, or the character's movement or stuff like that, adding that into C++, what's not going to change, is perfect for this. And it's slowly building it up to the point where I might try just doing the odd little bit more in C++ and just exposing more functions. It might not be worth it in the end, but it's going to be good practice. I can already mod the living daylights out of C++ plugins without an issue. The other big thing is the state tree knowledge. So I've added state trees for like the attacking here, for Grunt, and every time I use state trees, I absolutely love it. The old ones were really, really buggy, they are, but the newer ones, they're just adding so many more cool features into it that make it really, really nice. Like, we've now got the ability for tasks to not have to finish anymore, but instead, you can add 5 or 6 tasks in and say, when any of these finish, just complete the entire node. Or you can say all of them must finish and you can execute all these tasks simultaneously. It's so good. So before, I'd run to the enemy, I'd make them rotate to the enemy as a separate task, I'd make them focus on them, then I'd make them attack. You can put all that in one go now and say run to the enemy and focus on them at the same time. It's just really nice. More and more I'm using state trees, the more and more I really, really enjoy using them. But I am starting to branch off more into a utility AI design framework where I have small state trees and I just simply say, execute this tree, execute this tree, execute this tree. So it's really nice and coming along really well. I can't wait to see what else they add to state trees to make it even better. So let's review the viewer feedback. So what did people think of the game? For the most part, I've got all the comments say it's really, really positive. I've not looked at the ratings yet. We're going to do that live on this video. So if I'm absolutely bummed out by it, you will see, you will hear it. Everybody said they really enjoyed the gameplay. They said it was a lot of fun to run around, steal souls. They loved the dialogue. But the biggest thing was honestly the voice acting. I always try to add voice acting into my games. I just always do it. It's just something that sits nice for me. Not every game will have voice acting, because some just aren't designed that way. Like The Sims. It takes 2 minutes to do that. Over the years, I've added voice acting into the game, and I have noticed it just feels so much nicer with some type of voice, whether it's the or not. If you're building, obviously, a JRPG and you just want the texting, you don't need it. But for my 3D runaround game, the voice acting, everybody loved it. So I need to give a big shout out to the voice actors because they did it for free. I told them the challenge. They were like, yeah, sure, it sounds fun. And they enjoyed it, which is really cool. So big thank you to me for voice acting Nima in my screamy voice. Big thank you to my partner's son, or my stepson, I guess, because he voiced Grunt doing all of his fantastic, ridiculous moans and grunts. Let's face it, was just a lot of fun to do. See, because he's got all his grunts. Yeah, he just voiced all the grunts for it. Big thank you to lemmyu.com. Lewis from Lemmyu reached out and asked if I wanted a bunch of voices for the game. I absolutely did. It's not their standard piece of work, but he's a good friend, and company will create your website super easily and give you the solutions you need. So big thank you to Lemmyu. And the final voice was Craig from Envision Gaming. Craig is a gamer reviewer, and he was wanting to try out voice acting for gaming. He reached out through Lewis from Lemmyu, and we worked out what to do, and he voiced a bunch of characters which were really, really cool. My personal favourite was the little monster guy in here who's been arrested and locked up, mutated, Abaddon. But Craig did a fantastic job on Abaddon's voice.
Free Abaddon. Abaddon did nothing bad.
But yes, voice acting is fantastic. Mancy's voice, honestly, was just so good as well. I couldn't stop laughing at how many awesome things he had to say.
Grunt says he can't attack a dead person. It's not fun.
It's just the accent. And the thing I love about working with voice actors, and it's something I always say to them, and it's what you see on behind the scenes as well from good movies and good directors. Let the voice actors go off on their tangent if they need to, or if they feel they should, have their own opinion. So if they sit voicing a character or getting into the zone for a character, they'll often come out with extra lines and extra dialogue that you've not written down, but they feel might fit. Most of the time, they're like, look, I've added this extra stuff. I'm not sure if you want it. It feels like it fits to me. So both Craig, my partner's son, and Lewis from Lemmyu all added extra lines in for what we needed. And I don't know if any of you saw the short. Mancy or Lewis actually gave us a joke, which was fantastic. And I've kept that in, and it's fantastic when he says it, because the characters will randomly talk to each other. Mancy just randomly came out with,
Hey Grunt, do you want to hear a joke?
and then Grunt will go, "Rrrr."
Two cannibals are eating a clown. One of them turns to the other and says, Hey, does this taste funny to you? Ha 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 ha.
Didn't even request it, it just came along. So good. Everybody on the voice acting side did an amazing job, and I don't think the game would have been as well received without it. So thank you very, very much. The other thing which I found really, really interesting, GTA San Andreas is one of my most beloved games ever. Everybody loves it. Countless people love GTA San Andreas. It's a pinnacle in gaming. If you think of top open world games, GTA San Andreas is on the list. It always is. I like to, as you should, borrow ideas from many different sources and make your own ideas up. But I particularly really liked the GTA San Andreas tutorials. So I tried Googling it and I couldn't actually find any images of it, which is insane. Clearly Google is just not feeling it today. So we'll start a brand new game on San Andreas. I literally installed it just so we could do this. But if I start the game, if you look at the top left of the screen, you will see the tutorial pop-ups that make San Andreas. There, black box with white text, you run down and you can get into it. The pop-ups always show and it tells you what to do. I really, really like those. I think they're nice, they work. I'm pressing the wrong thing thinking I'm in Unreal. I like them. But I was watching a stream by Josimus, however you say his name, the other day, where he was saying how people don't read those because they're so focused on the gameplay that half the people don't know it tells you a lot more things than they already know. And I was thinking, that can't be true, surely. But the more chat was asking about things that the game told you, and he was pointing at the screen going, look, it tells you. I was like, no. But I added these tutorials into my game because I like those ones. So you can see, it pops up. Right-click on a dead body to collect its soul. So you right-click, it collects a soul. Click to move around and interact in the world. But what I found out is a bunch of users didn't read it, which is the exact same situation.
Not long now, Grunt.
Oh, he's talking to each other. There we go, they talk to each other. But a lot of users commented they didn't know where the controls were, and it'd been nice to have an on-screen pop-up. And I was sat a bit gobsmacked going, it is there, it's at the top. And I tested the gameplay, and it was there. But they just clearly missed it because they were focusing on the world, which is the exact same issue people raised about GTA San Andreas. So it's really put me into a different mindset now, going, well, maybe it's generally not a good way of doing it. Or maybe you should pause it and put arrows up there. I even added the sounds, but it didn't help. So I'm going to have to start looking at other alternative tutorial types that people pay attention to. Maybe like a question mark on the floor, but then how do you know you can go to the question mark? You don't know the controls. It could be a fluke. Maybe the people who will see this video will say, hey, I've read every San Andreas tutorial, it's completely fine. Maybe it's a small subset of users, I don't know. But it seems to be, yeah, people don't read the San Andreas style pop-ups, which is, yeah, it's a different outlook. Here is the big time where I look at my ratings that I received. I have not seen these yet. I always like the surprise and I like witnessing it. I know the comments, I know people's general gist of it, and I know I've got an extra... Oh, I've been commented on that one. But if I come back and look at my games now, Demon Army Soul Collector, there we go. Stats-wise, I'm trying not to get too far down. I tried to review as many games I could along with everything else I was working on. No, skip those ones. There we go. Okay, I've not seen the review specifically. But here's all the comments. So you can see every comment. Thank you to everybody who played the game. I really, really appreciate it. I love hearing your feedback. But you see things like it's like, not entirely sure how to gather the souls. Controls not clear. It's nothing to do with these, but a lot of people are saying this when the tutorials are at the top left. So this is what I mean. I need to figure out a better way of doing it, I think. But yeah, so I tried to review a lot of metrics here. The way these work is I don't know what the karma one does, so I just kind of ignore it. But ratings given is how many ratings I have given to other people. So I've reviewed roughly 75 games. Okay, great. I received 57 ratings. The way I tend to see it, the way the jams typically work with ratings is if you imagine this is the start of the jam, it moves across, this is the ending of the jam where people get ratings. At first, everyone's playing games and reviewing them. But then as people start getting their reviews, it starts going down like that. So I was reviewing loads of games here and I reviewed 20, 30, 40 kind of thing, getting lots of reviews. And then I took a small break to do client work. And then I started reviewing more games here. But at this point, all these people here have stopped reviewing games. So it's why I've got a bigger percentage, if you wish, of games I've reviewed. I reviewed 75 games, but as the curve went down, less and less people started reviewing the games. It's fine. There were I think there was like 1,200 games in this game jam. I could have easily have kept reviewing them, but I was busy. So that's really it. So if I come to stats, for example, here, 1,391 submissions. So there's a lot of them. The vast majority of people got ratings. Unfortunately, these people under here didn't quite make the cut for how many ratings they got. One thing I have noticed about game jams, speaking to other devs, is a lot of people didn't know it was community-driven rating system. You have to vote on other games for people to vote on your games. Otherwise, they won't vote on it. They won't see it. There's no one person reviewing this. The more community votes you get, the higher score you're going to get. That's it. So you're almost punished if you don't vote games. So like on here, on the games, you used to have a ranking system when it's in voting season, I guess, called smart behavior. That's the default one you go to. And that is, here are the games that are voted on other games but need ratings to match it, to make it even. So like with mine, as you know, I voted 75 games or something. Yeah, so I would have been on the smart list for like 20 people or something, but those 20 just weren't at the time scoring, which is fine. So here we go. Let's look at the final scores I got overall, because I've not seen them. Okay, so we've got overall 363rd. That's a very, very good score. Because if you remember, the stats, where are we? The stats is 1,391. So top 400 out of 1,400 is a very high score. So I am very happy with that. So averagely, people gave me 3.5 stars for the overall enjoyness of the game. Okay. Fun, 551st. So people didn't particularly find it very fun. Okay, interesting. But that could be because you just walk around, pick up souls. There was no goblin army. So it makes me wonder, adding in the goblins, would I have got a higher fun score? Maybe. Or was that all because of the tutorial style / clicking on walls? But averagely, I got 3 stars on that. Innovation, 410th. Okay, so people thought it was pretty innovative. It wasn't a copy and paste of other styles of games. It had some unique aspects. Happy with that score. Does it match the theme? So this is a decent score. I'm happy with that. I don't quite know with that one how to improve it specifically without just changing the game. You know what I mean? Like, you collect souls, you're a collector. I don't know, maybe it was just needed to be more basic to, if I wanted to improve that score. Like, you're a postman or a courier, you collect things. I don't know. Or maybe add coins so you collect the coins. It could be anything, but I don't mind with that one. The game was fun. The audio, this is what I mean. 180th place out of 1,391. People absolutely loved the voice acting, which is good. A big thank you to everybody again. I'm going to send them the scores afterwards. Humour, 231st. So people, compared to the other scores and the audio, people absolutely loved the humour. Which I do take credit for that one because I did write the story, which is great. But the voice actors, if they weren't there, I don't think it would have delivered the same. So that's fantastic. The mood, nobody really knows what mood means. I saw a post the other day on Ludum Dare's community thing saying they wanted to remove the mood one and put in tech-wise or something like that, so people can judge based on the tech they added in. I kind of agree with that because I don't understand what mood is in. I don't really know what I vote for it. I just tend to put the mood if it's happy or not, but I don't know if that's right. People seem to say I'm 349th. I have no idea what that means. But there are my scores. Overall, I am 363rd out of 1,000... keep getting the number. 391. That is a cracking score. I have no idea what percent that is. ChatGPT said it's top 26%. That sounds more realistic. So yes, I scored almost the top 25th percent out of everybody, which is a cracking score. I am really happy with that one. But yes, the game is in the description if you want to go and play it. There's also a video if you don't want to play it and you just want to see it. That's there too. The review video I will be placing in there. It's available on Ludum Dare, my website, decryptionstudios.com. You can go and get it on there, or you can get it on itch.io. It's available on those places. I really enjoy this game. I've actually had a few people reach out to request me to continue working on it, which is unique. I didn't see it as that. I saw it as a game. I've made it, fire and forget, move on to something else. But my editor, who edits the videos, Cinco, great guy, he's even wrote a game design document for the game to continue it. So we may be continuing. I'm not 100% sure yet. We'll see. But yes, big thank you to everybody who helped. Big thank you to everybody who played and everybody's games. I hope you had fun with it. So what are my next plans? So currently, I am starting to learn Quad Spinner's Gaia. It's a landscape generator that you connect nodes together to build epic landscapes, and it's been used in some of the biggest games you can imagine. I am really tempted to keep pushing that because, as you all know, I was using Wonderscape. Unfortunately, that has ceased development now, so I needed more things from it, like caves and stuff like that. Gaia can't do caves, but at least has options to cut it out and let you put a mesh there. So I'm slowly learning it. The biggest issue is it doesn't work on Linux. I've not found out how to make it work yet, so I'm having to use a virtual machine to make it work. The other option is I can try World Creator, but it's expensive and apparently also doesn't work on Linux, so I need to find a way around it. But I am slowly learning that one. Next is I am absolutely continuing on with the YouTube tutorials. We are growing quite nicely now, and each of the tutorials are getting better and better and better each time. And now that my lovely editor has started taking that side, I can start working on more tutorials and knowledge without having to focus on editing a lot. So we're pumping out a lot of new, really cool stuff. And trust me, we've got a nice backlog of stuff. Some epic things are coming. So make sure you subscribe. It's coming along nicely. Plans I'm going to be working on is just more client work that brings in funding, which is always nice. But the biggest one, minor spoiler alert, so make sure you subscribe for this. we might be working on a course. That could be interesting. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That was my game, Demon Army Soul Collector. From me, Mancy, and Grunt. Thank you for watching. I hope it was good. Please let me know if you made a game. Let me know below. What did you enjoy about your game? What would you have changed? What did you learn? That's the important thing. These videos aren't just showing the game off. They're a review of your own personal work. It helps you figure out what you've improved on, what you've changed, everything. It helps you make a better developer if you review yourself instead of just pumping out games. So always review what you've done. It's a great way to learn. Thank you for watching. My name is Decryption, and I will see you next time.